Okay, welcome back to Photoshop. This video is going to be about Unit 3 and completing Exercise 3. This unit is about type effects, so um, it's basically finding tutorials online to do different effects with typography in Photoshop. This is the only unit where we actually use text, and it's basically text as image, text as art. This exercise, just fair warning, is the easiest exercise we've done and will do in the class. It's very quick, and this video is going to be very short. But just to warn you, the last two exercises for the next two units are not short. They aren't difficult, but they take a lot more time and have a lot more steps than this exercise. So just plan for that in the future. I will send out a reminder on that too. But this one is fairly easy. So real quick, let's cover what this unit is about. So we are working with type effects. Let's just go back to the previous screen here. So the Unit 3 overview. In this unit, we learn how to make text come alive with special effects. There are endless Photoshop text tutorials online. Explore them and get creative. So our first exercise is just a very easy, simple to follow directions exercise on turning type into a special effect. So for that exercise, the directions are to 1, download the water droplet image. To use in the tutorial, I've already downloaded this and have it open in Photoshop. Okay. Step 2, follow the instructions to complete the exercise. So just click here, it should open up the little tutorial file, and let's go through it. So we're going to take this and make what is essentially this image. Okay, and you'll see it's actually fairly quite simple as long as you know what to click. But so the first thing we want to do is open our file. It says to duplicate the background layer, so just press Command J to duplicate. Unlock the background layer by clicking the lock icon, and then create a custom gradient by selecting the gradient tool from the toolbar and then clicking on the gradient editor at the top. Okay, so this is the gradient tool right here, this little icon, and so you just click that, and what you'll see is this little gradient box pop up here. So from here you can click on that box to pull up the gradient editor. Okay, so from here what we want to do then is to double click on the left gradient stop to open the color picker. So that's this one down here. I just double click right here. It'll open a color picker, and I'm going to type in the hex code here, 3BC3FC. Okay, that gives me a lovely shade of blue. And it says to double click on the right gradient stop to open a color picker and choose a different color. And that color is 002 Delta 59. Delta 59. Okay, it gives me a lovely darker shade of blue. Okay. And it says press OK and select the radial gradient button. So hit OK. And this is the radial gradient button. There are different ways to do gradients. This one is linear, so it goes from one point to the next. This one is radial, it radiates out from the middle. This one is an angle gradient, and it's like a wipe. If it goes around, it starts light and would go dark. The next one is a mirrored one, so the top and bottom would be the darker color where the middle is a lighter. And then this one is a diamond gradient. It kind of is a mixture of that and like a radial one. It starts in the center and kind of reflects off of 4 different sides. But we're going to use this radial one. And the tutorial says to, with that selected, click in the center of the artboard and pull diagonally towards the corner. So I'm just going to do that. I believe, yep, I'm working on my background layer. So I just click in the center and pull towards the corner, and you'll see if I turn this layer off, it gives me this nice radial gradient. The amount of the gradient depends on how far you pull out. Okay, so I'm going to just put it right about there. That looks good. Okay, and then it says to, next page, make a new layer above the water texture. Okay, so I'm going to call this water texture. I'm going to make a new layer above that. And it says fill it with the linear black to white gradient. Okay, so if I go back into my gradient tool, see this little drop down here? This first box should be black to white. Don't do the black to the checkerboard pattern, because where it's checkerboard is actually nothing is there, so we want to do the black to white. Okay, and it says fill with a linear black to white gradient. So I'm going to click and just fill from the bottom to the top, and whoops, that did a radial gradient. I need a linear gradient. I'm going to click on the bottom again, fill from bottom to top. Okay, and I've got a gradient in this box that looks very much like our example. Okay, and it says set the blending mode to multiply and the opacity to 83. So blending mode, where's multiply? There we go. Opacity 83. Okay, and then merge down. So that's, you see what this layer is doing. It's darkening the bottom while keeping the top light. And merge down, I can just press Command E, probably Control E on a Windows, and that just takes the layer I'm on and merges it to the layer right underneath. Okay, so now I have my water texture. It says change the blending mode of this layer to hard light. Okay, so we'll just change that to, select my layer, change it to hard light. Okay. And so see how that's working on the layer now. Instead of being opaque, it's actually letting the layer underneath show through. And already, I'm really close to this, right? I've already got my background. Now I just need to add my text. Okay, so now I'm going to type. So I need my type tool. So just click on this, or you can press T to get your type tool. Just click in there and go ahead and type. I don't care what you put in here. It doesn't have to say type. I'm just going to say drops. Okay, and then select all your text. We need, depending on whether you're on Windows or Mac, Helvetica Condensed Black, or Arial Black. I will go ahead and do Helvetica Condensed Black. And actually, it's probably Helvetica New Condensed Black if you're on a Mac. I'll try to fix that link. I'm going to do Helvetica New Condensed Black. It should be 120 points for the size. There we go. A nice large text. Oh, I chose condensed bold. I need condensed black. A really thick one. There we go. And then the color of the text should be white. Okay, so white. So I have my little checkbox, and there I've got my text. Okay, and then I'm going to do type effects. So if you don't know, the type effects or the layer effects panel can be accessed by just clicking here. And the first thing we're going to do is bevel and emboss. So I just select bevel and emboss, and it's telling me to do a bevel and emboss at 100%, size of 17, soften of 8 pixels. The top color should be screen white, an opacity of 75%. The shadow color should be multiply blending mode black, opacity of 75%. Okay, so that gives me this kind of, it's giving my letters some form now. I'm going to do inner shadow. So back, you can click back into this effects panel, and I can go to inner shadow, select it, and I'm going to have a color of white. Blending mode should be normal. Opacity 75%. Distance 33. Choke 11. size 17 pixels. Okay. Contour should be 0. Okay. And then I am also going to do an inner glow. Inner glow is 75%. Blending mode should be screen. Whoops, that should be normal. I didn't actually, I turned on my inner glow, but I didn't go to the inner glow layer. So let me go back here. So the opacity of the one was 75%. So now inner glow, my opacity should be 75%. Blending mode is screen. Noise 0%. The color should be BEE0FF. Nice light blue. Choke 0, size 113 pixels. Range 50%, that's good. Anti-alias should be checked. Okay. Now if I go into the satin, I'm going to turn on satin and go into that section. Blending mode multiply, the color should be this blue 006FCE. Okay, opacity 50%, distance 142 pixels, size 250 pixels. Turn off anti-aliasing, but leave on inverted. Okay, and finally the drop shadow. I'll go into drop shadow. Now, you may know from other classes you are supposed to never use a drop shadow. This is an exception, and the reason being that we are using a drop shadow to add to the text as an image, not to try to make it artificially legible on a bad background. Okay, so this is not using a drop shadow for typography. This is using a drop shadow as an image, which is very different. So it still applies that you should not be using a drop shadow for text in other cases. Anytime you have text set on a page, like, you know, as paragraph text and stuff, you should never be using a drop shadow. This is an exception. Okay, so for our drop shadow, it should be blending mode of multiply, color black. Oh, actually, it has a dark blue color it's using, so that's 001026, very dark blue. Okay, opacity of 94%, distance 21 pixels, spread 0%, size 54 pixels. Layer knocks out drop shadow, that is turned on. Okay. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, that is the end of our directions. Okay, now the last thing we need to do is, for this layer, change the fill, which is right here, change the fill to 0. Okay, and so basically what that does is that's whatever the white color fill was in the text, it takes all that out, and all that the layer consists of now is these effects that we put into it. Okay, and so that gives us this kind of clearish see-through kind of thing going on, so that we can see what is behind the letters. Okay, so the nice thing about this is the text is still editable. I could change this to say you know, something else if I wanted to. I can add other lines of text to it, etc., and it's also editable because these are just effects on the text. Okay, now that's it, right? Very easy. This doesn't mean that your projects are going to be this easy, but this is just an example of how easy it is to find a tutorial that works with text effects and then kind of make a nice image out of it. All you got to do is follow directions, okay? And basically, your project will be similar to this, but a little bit more in-depth, right? So I'll cover that on my next video, which I should put out next Tuesday. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just let me know. Enjoy your weekend.